to analysis on what the president had to say. And let's bring back Mandla Lionel Isaacs. We lost you a little bit earlier on because of sound problems, but I believe we've sorted that now. I was talking to you about leadership in the last address. South Africans felt that he failed on that front. Did he show more leadership tonight? And do you think he was encouraged by the fact that he said it was a failed coup attempt? Has that given him the courage to speak the way he did tonight?
Good evening, Jane, and to your viewers. I do believe that it was an improved effort from the president. He did come across as being in command. I thought he did strike the right tone on many of the issues. I thought it was the right thing to acknowledge that government was slow to act and was caught flat-footed. I believe that I was very positive in receiving his message that the plotters and planners of this insurrection will be held accountable, although I have more to say on that. And I thought it was positive that he did acknowledge the hunger and food insecurity that many South Africans are facing and acknowledged immediate plans to do something about it. So I do think there were many positives. I do have some, three kind of questions or areas where I would expect more. The first is we continue to call for question and answer after these addresses. The modern presidency simply cannot be about appearing from on high, giving a message and leaving. There needs to be a conversation and giving journalists an opportunity to ask the tough questions that are on citizens' minds.
He's not really open to that, is he?
Well, he's not. But I think the longer this goes, the more it highlights, I think, how kind of outdated this mode of communication is. In a modern democracy, citizens simply expect more interaction. And so I think we should continue to raise it and force eventually some kind of response or change. I think the two issues I would highlight are, firstly, he said that he will hold planners accountable, but I think many close observers of our justice system's performance on crime, on political assassinations, on corruption, do not feel that I don't think we have a strong track record in terms of our police and our prosecuting authority in terms of convicting, big perpetrators of crimes, the powerful and the rich. And so that's what we're going to be waiting to see, if the justice system can back up the president's words. I think the last point is, as much as he did allude to the social and economic challenges that laid the groundwork for this insurrection to happen, I do think he kind of glossed over it. And this would have been a time, as a president with a vision and a plan for economic reconstruction and recovery, to promise that he has a vision and a plan to change the structural challenges in South Africa around poverty and unemployment that create the conditions for people to be swept up into moments like this and for society to fracture with such huge loss of life and instability as we've seen.
Yeah, because it could certainly happen again, isn't it, as our unemployment continues to climb. I mean, we saw that the security cluster is incapable of looking after us, so we aren't safe until he sorts that out. I thought it was quite clever that he touched on the unity of people, everybody working together, how the communities helped address the problem, how they cleaned up. Do you think that's going to work for him, bringing some pride back to the country after this awful week?
Well, in his position, you could understand why he would try to emphasize that unity. And we certainly, the majority of South Africans, the majority of the time, yes, we are united in our diversity. But the question is, in these moments of stress and fracture, where we've seen terrible loss of life in KZN, we've seen accusations of kind of racially tinged violence between Black communities and Indian communities, and these are things that we need to understand what happened. To what extent have those as an ethnic tension, been a factor in some of this violence? Because we need to address it. It's extremely concerning when you hear about loss of life where people have been targeted perhaps because of their race, and that's something we can't paper over. We need to understand it and address it.
And it is something that has been papered over. Mandla Lionel Isaacs, thank you for your time.